thank our three witnesses today, really for the work that you're doing. Your commitment and your leadership at a time of global crisis is extraordinary, and I'm just humbled and grateful for your professionalism and your focus, and obviously for you being here today. I want to mention how grateful I was in a bipartisan way that in the NDAA we were able to get some more reporting language requirements on the activities of the Wagner Group, and I'm very concerned, and it's already been addressed in some other questioning about Wagner's activities in Africa, and can't lose sight of how this is all interrelated. We are in a moment in human history where this idea that might makes right, where you can invade your neighbor, this is not just a Ukrainian issue. This is very much, as I think my senior senator and chairman said, an issue that all Americans should be concerned with. And if we don't face this Russian aggression here, we will see the crisis expand in ways that threaten the world order and stability that we have fought and invested in generations to establish, not just in Europe, but globally. I'd like to drill down, if I can, about my ongoing concerns about food insecurity and how this is affecting global issues. Ukraine is obviously approaching its planting season. It's likely that their agricultural capacity will be further reduced by the effects of this invasion. And this could in turn have just impacts on what we are seeing now, which is not just disruptions in the global food chain, but a level of food insecurity globally that is some of the highest it's ever been. And so I'm wondering what the administration is doing to plan ahead on this, and what further resources might be needed from Congress to address the growing crisis of food insecurity globally.
Why don't I start, and then Assistant Administrator McKee can jump in. Senator, thank you for all of your support as well and your frequent travel. As I said in my opening, through the Black Sea Grain Initiative brokered by the UN, which we supported and helped midwife, we've liberated about 17 million tons of Ukraine's grain. But as you said, their exports are still down about 30%, and there are risks for planting. So from that perspective, the money that the Congress has provided both last year and in FY23, we are working at every level with the World Food Program, as you know, to speed both food and fertilizer to countries that would normally be consumers of Ukraine and, frankly, Russia's output, to ensure that they can plant this year. But Secretary Blinken is particularly focused on ensuring that we are working on this problem not just for today, but for tomorrow. And particularly in Africa, but in other parts of the world, we have over years of climate change, civil war, other issues, drought, seen soil degraded, seen crops become vulnerable, et cetera. So as we look at the appropriation that you've just given us, we are focused in particular on soil health, on new kinds of seeds and varietals, particularly on the continent of Africa, that can withstand climate change, on small farmer support, but also more systemic answers to these questions. And we look forward to working with you. Erin, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I do, thank you. And I'd like to build on what Undersecretary Nuland mentioned with respect to what we're doing inside Ukraine, who is key supplier of agricultural commodities and resources, but not the only one. Both getting the grain out, but ensuring that the next planting season takes place. So both through the Black Sea Grain Initiative as well as the solidarity lanes, to ensure that all of the above, our ability to trust and rely on Putin to adhere to the agreement, is something that a factor that we must take into account. As of at least yesterday, there were 121 ships waiting to leave the port in Odessa. And there's about 4 to 5 ships a day that through inspections that are sort of being slow rolled. So it's not it provided relief, but it is not the only solution. The greatest solution to helping Ukraine both continue its agricultural contributions to global food security is obviously to end the conflict. I want to thank you, though, for your highlighting this important topic, because, as you know, in 2022, just last year, over 205 million people were in urgent need of humanitarian food assistance, which was an 8% increase over 2021. and an 89% increase compared to 2016. So the global food security crisis that we're seeing today, created by climate change, the impacts of supply chain issues and everything, and compounded and exacerbated by Putin's unjust war, are resulting in a crisis that we haven't seen at least in my lifetime.
And I just want to add, as I conclude, Russia is in this doing a lot on disinformation to try to hide its responsibility for this crisis and deflect responsibility. I think it's just really important, especially as I just met with many African leaders, that we make it clear that this is a crisis being caused by Putin's war of choice, war of aggression. So thank you.
Just to say, Senator, I feel that that message is getting through. As you saw at the African Leaders Summit, what they want is solutions, and that's why the support you've given us to work creatively with them is most important.
Senator Rounds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Undersecretary Nuland, I'm curious about